I've been feeling this thing inside of me that is telling me I need to create more things, but for some reason, I'm having a hard time. I have this voice inside of me that's like, you need to just take out the camera and you need to just record because that's where you get the good stuff. And I had this conversation with a friend months ago, and they were asking me about, like, why do you make anything? Like, why do you create anything at all? And I had to stop and think about it because I'm definitely kind of a creative maniac, and I'll do poetry and videos and music and take photos and write and whatever, whatever means, what by any means necessary. But the thing that I got to is kind of talking about soul excavation and how it's this, like, I don't know, there's this otherworldly call to, like, excavate the soul so that you can, and I don't really know. I mean, I think that, like, we're all soul connected creatures, and in that there's like a desire to reach, like, a common ground of, like, love and a common ground of understanding. And to me, that's kind of what God is. That's what, like, connects all of us, is this common understanding, this common love. And creation is part of that. Like, when we get creative, we kind of tap into that deeper side of ourselves, that deeper sense of love, and we start to figure it out. We make, physical artwork, or we examine something closer with a photo or a video, or we let our soul speak through us through poetry or music, and just be honest and actually get out the things that it's been trying to say. So I think it's important to do that. And it's something that I definitely still struggle with, even as creative as I feel like I'm being. There are still things that just feel like walls inside of me that are just keeping me back from fully expanding and fully finding myself and being myself, and getting to the point that I getting to that point in the journey that I know I'm on. But, like, I've accrued all this information and experience, and that's how I feel. Is I'm like, man, I have all these things inside of me that I want to share in a productive way, that I want to share in a way that, like, helps people, inspires people, impacts people, creates movement, creates motion, creates newfound understanding. Yeah, but it doesn't happen unless you actually, like, get out and find a way to continue to create. Honestly, people that have followed me for a while know that I went through phases of, when I first started, like, becoming somebody who posted things on the internet and whatever. I had this whole idea of, like, create more, consume less. And you've probably seen, like, Instagram reels or something similar to this online too. And I abolished that idea. Initially I was like, yeah, like, we just always need to be creating and blah blah blah. And you kind of realize that there's some hints of the capitalistic regime or whatever in there that's influencing people and making them be like, oh, well, the only way to find success is to be somebody who, like, makes a bunch of stuff and is always doing things and always, like, putting things out on the internet. And being a creator and being a, somebody, again, who's, like, contributing to the capitalist environment of America, or what the fuck ever. But then, with a little deep diving, I came to realize, I was like, oh, that's total bullshit. I actually don't need to be creating more content, because there's just, like, infinite fucking content online. But I also need to be consuming content in a productive way. And then I came up with this other idea of, like, create conscientiously, consume conscientiously. So kind of the next step of thinking about what you're putting into your brain on a consistent basis, thinking about your habitual nature of what things you're spending time doing, and taking in energy and taking in advice and things from, yeah, just being conscientious, being aware of what is going into your brain, what you are taking your time and energy to focus on and to let expand within you. Because the whole thing with just create more, consume less, you're being driven by all of these external features. You're being driven by potentially, like, a desire to, I don't know, acquire dopamine or whatever, right? Where the internet is this, like, addictive space, and we get stuck in it. And especially with me and, like, Instagram, dude, like, I'll get in this phase, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to make a bunch of stuff and it's going to be so cool. And, I'm going to share it on Instagram. And then I get stuck where I'll, like, start sharing it, and I'll have these ideas, and I'll be creating conscientiously, but then I will fall into an addictive pathway on the internet and, no longer be consuming conscientiously. So that's kind of like level 1, level 2. But now I feel like I'm coming back around sort of to like the same idea, but I guess just to realize like you do have to do, it's like I have that idea, but then the next level is like really practicing and understanding that idea. And the additional idea here is to like creation itself is also, there's a point of it where you have to understand it too. Like you make stuff, you do stuff, and then you analyze it, right? Like this is why people journal. This is why people, make video diaries or whatever the heck you want to call this, right? Like I've used these as a means to work out parts of myself and understand myself deeply. And when I start to be hyper judgmental of myself and think like, oh, this has to like make a lot of sense, or this has to like, this has to change the world, or like whatever, these like crazy expectations, essentially. It just ends up putting me in more of a rut. And that's why I'm here, because I think I'm just realizing like there's a portion of creation that is beautiful, and it doesn't have to be so damn serious. You don't have people when you're writing your journal entry, you don't have people that are like on your back and they're like, well, like, are you sure about that? Like, are you sure about what you just wrote? Are you sure about, like, I don't know, like that's the voice in my head, I guess, is like when I'm making stuff or like wanting to do this type of stuff, I have this like secondary voice that's just like, well, yeah, what's the point? Like, is somebody going to watch that and they're going to like really, what are they really going to get out of it? Are you really going to help somebody with that? Like, or are you just spouting nonsensical bullshit? And there's definitely a part of me that, that is, and this video is already like sort of nonsensical bullshit, but it's also just my brain. My brain organizes stuff and thinks in this like massive expanding way that is really hard for me to communicate unless I like make stuff. And then I'm like, yeah, this is what I meant when I was thinking about this thing, or I was inspired by this thing and I wanted to inspire somebody else. So I created a song or a poem or a whatever. And I guess just like allowing yourself to be who you are in a creative way. Cause I think everybody is creative in their own way. I think that like when we silence creativity, we are actually silencing a part of ourselves that needs to speak, that needs to say something, that needs to be heard. And if you are able to be authentic and honest with yourself in that creation, whether it is like a painting or a song or a poem or whatever, like it helps you and it will help somebody else. Also, the important part is to not get dragged into like the numbers game, like of like, oh my God, my video didn't get this view. Like the numbers shit just it doesn't matter. That's not the point ever. It's never the point. But we draw so much attention to it that it discourages us from creating. It discourages us from thinking like I have value. Makes you second guess yourself, especially if you're like a sensitive person. I'm a sensitive person, so I think sometimes when I don't get that validation, when I don't get that feedback, I can go into this space that's like really, really unproductive and makes me even more unproductive because I'm like, oh, I didn't see the results that I wanted, blah, blah, blah. But all in all, it doesn't matter. Like what matters is in that process, did you process something? Did you like create something and learn something from it? And did you continue to progress forward? And the answer is always going to be yes. Like if you showed up and you did something that was creative, that was like opening that side of your brain and, teaching yourself something about it, that was a valuable experience. That was a great use of your time. Good job. Like, good job. And that's all there has to be said about it. That's kind of where I'm at with creation and stuff. I'm kind of tired today. I'm kind of under the weather, kind of caffeinated. So you can see that the ADHD is firing, but it is great, man. I love doing this type of stuff. And I have I have talks that I have placed back in my YouTube channel for years where I show up and I just speak my mind, and it helps me a lot because it helps me organize what it is that's at the forefront of my brain right now. And at the forefront of my brain is what I mentioned in the beginning, is that like I feel like I have valuable things that I'm trying to find productive ways to share, without having all of this like negative self-talk come in and void me of that value and say like, the other thing in the chatter is like, oh, who are you to like make a video? Who are you to like speak about XYZ? And it's like, dude, who is anybody to talk about anything, honestly? Like, you have, professionals and things that talk about, certain subjects, and they went to school and they've studied that, and awesome. They should absolutely be the ones talking about certain things, and you shouldn't be spouting nonsensical bullshit. But everybody's story is incredibly valuable. And if you think that you have something to say that's going to help somebody and benefit somebody, fucking say it, dude. Like, there's so much bullshit on the internet. There's so much crap out there that, like, you have a space to do that. You absolutely have a space to do that. And if somebody doesn't want to watch it, if somebody doesn't want to tap in on you, somebody doesn't want to, like, fuck with what you're saying, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can still do that exploration creatively, analytically, whatever, and you're going to benefit from it, and therefore somebody else is going to benefit from it. So that's kind of a more positive thing that I'm working on. I think the other side of that, like, tricky coin is, not being critical of it, for sure, is really big. You can't criticize where you're at in your journey and expect to be, like, all the way through the journey. I think that's the other thing, is, like, I have, like, these, like, fantasies of, like, pulling up to, like, my, like, 5-year, 10-year self. And I don't know if this is a normal thing for other people, or maybe it's just me, but it's probably a normal thing for other people. It's like getting stuck in that, like, like that, like, you're obsessing on the fantasy of, like, when this thing finally makes sense, and when I'm finally doing it all the way right, and when it all comes to fruition, and, like, that future thought, that future, like, like, being in that space, like, I think is a space of suffering. I don't think it's productive. And what this is too is, like, practicing just being where I am right now, and, like, being really happy with where I'm at right now by doing something in the right now, right? Because all we have is the present moment. We don't have, if you get too involved in past and future selves, you are going to experience suffering, because those don't exist, right? Like, it's good to have goals and aim for the future, and to, like, have a lot of, like, trial and error and whatever. But if you show up and you're interested in a subject, right, and you speak on a subject, that first time that you speak on the subject, or you make something, or you explore it, or you go into that subject with curiosity, you're going to be an idiot, dude. Like, you're going to suck. You're going to fail. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be choppy. It's going to sound like it's going to sound bad, right? Like, but if you show up and you're interested in it, and you investigate, and you're curious, and you're kind to yourself, like, you're going to accrue knowledge, and you're going to expand in that space. So don't be so critical of yourself, especially in the beginning, in your curious moments. It's so important to just try stuff, man. Like, it's okay. We have so many influences on the internet of people that tell us, like, I don't know, they look like they're just, like, they look like they just showed up there, but they didn't. They have been working for years and years to explore themselves, to explore a subject, and then they, arrive and they look polished because they've put in the work, like, that's all it is showing up and, like, having that curiosity for something, and admitting that you're gonna fail and that you're gonna suck, dude. Like, it's just, for me, this has been music, like, I have been working on music and exploring the world of music for 6 years now, maybe even 7 years if you want to count, like, the real early stages. And in the beginning of stuff that I would make, it was so fucking bad, bro. It was so bad. I hated it. Like, no, I didn't hate it. I still love those songs. They're funny to look back on, right? Because some of them, like, it's like, I get where I was going with it, but the production, or, like, the flow or whatever, is, like, it's choppy, it's rough, it's not as fine-tuned. Or I'm also, like, there's parts of me that are struggling to really just say what I want, or to know what the intention is behind it. And again, it's like, you show up, and now at this point, like, I've made over 100 songs. Like, I've practiced all these new production techniques. My setup is a lot better. Yeah. Oh, it looks like my battery in my camera might die. Oh, we better wrap this up. Yeah, guys, just get up and get after it. Like, I think that we need to not be so judgmental of ourselves. If you are a creative person and you feel something burning inside of you that you want to share with the world, just get after it and share it, because it ain't that deep, bro. Those voices in your head that are holding you back, go to battle with them and go to war with them, because they're not it, man. They're built on insecurity. They're built on pain. They're built on fear, and you got nothing to be afraid of. Like, there are people out here that are miserable that are going to judge you, and Those people are always going to be there, but there's even more people that you can help and you can inspire if you get up and you believe in yourself and you put good out into the world. So get after it. Go put some good into the world. I love you so much.